as you're driving saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus
Starting off kind of strangely.
slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis about games and the gaming industry, coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch, and archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts. Ash here with Subsidian and Moontag as always. Hope you all had a great weekend. We took the weekend off for the Easter weekend, but we are back now, and some interesting stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking a lot about Outriders today, giving a bit of a review. Saib's been playing it like crazy. And also discuss how did this happen? That this new IP that no one knew about because it's brand new, it has now surpassed Borderlands and several other games in the genre, as in terms of concurrent players, and it's just doing really, really well, and it's just kind of exploding everywhere. It feels like everyone's playing it right now. Everyone who likes that style of game, anyway. And I played it a bit and enjoyed it. I haven't been spending hours and hours and hours in it, but I did enjoy the time I spent in it. We're going to talk about why all of that is, plus a few other things. E3 is completely online. I want to know, does anyone out there care about E3 this year? By the way, hello, Saib and Moontag. How are you?
Hello, good.
That's good.
Hello.
Of course, if you are listening live today, please do say hello in the live chat. Give us your questions and comments, but also your answer to the questions we ask, such as, do you care about E3 at all this year? It's going to be completely online. Some big players pulling out. Sony is no longer involved. Not sure if they're going to do their own thing, kind of like Bethesda has and some other companies in the past have, or around the same time, or what that all means. But anyway, we don't have a ton of information yet, but it is going to be completely online this year. We'll get into that a little more. BioWare continues to bleed talent, and a couple other smaller stories we'll get to as well. So anyway, tell us if you care about E3 this year and how much. All right, Moontag, let's hear about how we should be treating that like button.
Well, it looks a little lonely over there, so definitely give it a little love tap to show your appreciation for our content and to feed the algorithm gods. Them algorithm gods, yes, the algorithm. Feed it, and it'll do things.
Them algorithm gods be hungry for likes.
And don't forget to join our Discord to continue the conversation after, if you haven't already. There's a ton of different topic channels and great personalities on there, as well as people streaming games. Like, seriously, Saib and the guys have been streaming Outriders and playing for hours and hours and hours, and it has been hilarious. Mm-hmm. Absolutely hilarious. Like...
They're having a lot of fun with it. That's really good.
They're having a lot of fun with it, and I really enjoy seeing like the gameplay and like the shenanigans they get up to.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, let's talk about Outriders because it's really exploded. It's got a huge number of players now. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to bring the story up on the screen right here. We see this report from Forbes. Outriders has surpassed Borderlands 2 and 3 in terms of all-time concurrent players on Steam, and that's one of the platforms that we have info for. Of course, it's on a lot of other platforms as well, but it hit a peak concurrent player count of 125,123. So it is second now only to Warframe and Destiny 2, and it's second to Warframe by not that much. But it is just squeaked past Borderlands 2, and it's also quite a far ahead of The Division, Borderlands 3, and Marvel's Avengers, which is wow. Marvel's Avengers has 1/5 of the count in terms of concurrent player count, maximum concurrent player count, and this article notes there's Anthem and Godfall are not on there, but anyway, and also it debuted at number 6 in terms of physical game sales in the UK. So we have some retail numbers. Outriders hit number 6.
I can promise you that Godfall is nowhere close to that.
I just the information just or the article just never or just mentioned that for some reason.
Well, it's just a point that Godfall was this thing that a bunch of people looked at and saw, oh, that looks cool, that looks interesting, and then nobody. It had the quietest launch ever. It got no traction, and it was apparently not a very good game. Just completely fell off the radar entirely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but yes, so Outriders in terms of sales, no, this is just the UK, and as far I believe this is just physical sales, but it hit number 6. Now you see on this chart here, it shows you what the game was at last week and what it is at this week. Outriders doesn't have a last week. It was a new entry because it's brand new, and it hit number 6. And the games that beat it out this past week are some pretty heavy hitters. FIFA 21, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Mario 3D World, Monster Hunter Rise, and Mario Kart 8. And Outriders there, it's at number 6, beating out Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Minecraft and some other games, including Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Now, speaking of, this is a bit of a tangent, but this game is disappearing. Mario, Nintendo is pulling it from sale. And, of course, now scalpers are selling it for thousands of dollars for copies of this game. It's kind of insane. So, go figure.
They just as a heads up for people who are wondering, why is Nintendo doing this? And it's because, and I ruined the joke here, it's because that's what Disney has done. Disney puts certain movies into quote unquote the vault, where nobody has access to them for years at a time for some reason, and then they come out and they're like, oh, new limited edition, like the last 5 limited editions.
Yeah, exactly.
And they throw in some extra interview or something with the 4th, what's the grip position on a movie set? Was it it's like the grip, something grip?
Yeah, I don't know, 4th best boy grip, whatever.
Yeah. And they just like they have this interview, and it's like, oh yes, that star who was did the voice was a very famous person, and I was so grateful to be near them, and Walt Disney was really quite a nice guy. Yes, it turns out he wasn't nearly as as people thought he was. And they just fluff stuff, and then they bring it back, and then a bunch of people line up like crazy and buy it. I remember being at one house, and they had like 5 editions of the same movie.
Ugh.
And it's like, why are you guys doing this? But you look at that now and you go, well, it's obviously a trap, right? It's obviously
it's controlled. It's a controlled supply. Lessen the supply, and then we release a special edition that has 1 extra song. And people
exactly.
But anyway, back to talking about Outriders. So let's talk about why Outriders has been such a smash hit. And just first of all, let me ask you this, Saib. Do you think this game is going to have some sort of longevity, or is it going to be a flash in the pan? We've seen a few of those lately. Games that have.
Well, first, we really need to address the issues, which have been getting better every day. But we have to remember that on Thursday, this game was essentially unplayable. On Friday, it was even more unplayable. Saturday, it was almost entirely unplayable. And Sunday, it started to get some level of stability. And then, yesterday, it got, a fair bit more stability. Even today, there are still some connection issues. There's still some crashing going on. It was bad on the weekend, and of course people typically they won't remember this in a month unless they just quit playing on the day of. But there were some people who just they got nothing. They got absolutely nothing done. The game was just unplayable. still, even today, we were having some issues. So it has its issues for sure.
Right, but all the memes that I saw about it were kind of themed along the lines of let us, let us in so we can play. Because
Yeah,
people really are liking this game.
yeah. The combat and the abilities are fun, and the abilities, both the player abilities like the activatable abilities, and then the weapon effect abilities. Like these are really engaging, fun things to do. Like running around with Deadly and Saber rank 3 on your weapon and just watching things explode, like literally just watching entire packs. Like um I can shoot once with a machine gun, with a light machine gun. I can shoot once into a pack of these NPCs, these alien type creatures, or these like bad NPC character things, whatever. And I get one crit on the group, the entire group just explodes, literally explodes,
Yes,
and that is a such a good feeling
Oh, it was a
because
blast. Yeah, the abilities. I only played during the demo, and I was a pyromancer. But yes, the abilities really, I think, drive some of the appeal for this game. There's a lot to it. There's just tons of enemies coming at you, and things exploding, and things, particle effects everywhere. It was really, really awesome from that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, so from the gameplay, I give this like a solid like 8. 8.5, almost a 9. There are a handful of issues that they have right now. When I was using the Rift jump, every time I jumped, every time I Rift walked, every time I die or get exploded or whatever, all I see on the screen is my pair of pants, and it's
You got blown out of your
really
pants.
distracting to just see my pants running around on screen. Um,
Hey, the
and
Rift works in mysterious ways, my friend.
yeah, clearly. So I mean, there are obviously some bugs and some issues, and there's a handful of mods that are just not working correctly. You have to like look for them. There's
Well, I mean,
unfortunately a lot of people who, and this is the whole like this could be a perfect test for that whole like you know psychosomatic response thing. There are some people who are like, they put on a special mod that is not working right now. They don't know that it's not working. They put it on and go, wow, look at how much better I'm doing, even though they're working with the same or less power than they were before. And that to me is absolutely hilarious that you have some people go, look, I'm doing so much better now. I got this thing and it answered all the problems I had. It's no, you're just playing better because you feel like you're playing better.
placebo
And
effect.
so
There we
therefore,
go.
yeah, it's total placebo effect, which is hilarious to see how that's been working. And then it's also kind of hilarious to see some of these other guides that are like walking you through how to make the game absolutely not fun. It's like well, you could do it this way, but honestly, you just do it this way, and I mean, it's not very fun, but you get it done like 0.5 seconds faster. So do it this way, and
Okay.
it's like I love number crunching. Moon and I were just number crunching in a game, just literally like 20 minutes ago. Before that, earlier today, I was number crunching on builds and stuff in Outriders, trying to figure out what the best build was for some of the community members, trying to figure out like what to get. It's been a little stressful because there's still a lot of like things that we don't quite know that aren't necessarily explained as good. So gameplay wise, I could probably give it about a 7. But I mean,
You said
I
8
suspect,
before. It went
no,
down.
that was no, that was kind of like the visual feel of it, right? So the
Okay.
visual feel of, I'm listing my reviews now. So the general gameplay, the actual combat, like visual bugs and that stuff aside, the general game functionality, I guess, is a better term for it. I give it about a 7, and I think it can get up to about a 9 if they crush some of these bugs and if they add in a little bit more stuff here and there. And they have lots of room to grow with this, so it's kind of a good thing. Story wise, I'm not going to spoil anything. No spoilers here. In the terms of like direct spoilers, I'm going to give my overall feeling of the story without mentioning any details. So take it at that. So my feeling with the story and the general direction of the narrative of the game is overall I feel like I feel meh about the general story point, the point of which the story brings, the so-called moral of the story. It has been done to death. It has been done to death, and it is a time for somebody to take a narrative and move it on from the incredibly obvious.
Well, is this the type of game where people are looking for a deep, sophisticated story, or is it a story that serves the gameplay well?
This answers this is the part 2 in that. So part 2 is like, how did it deliver? And the answer on how it delivered was it delivered very well. It delivered so good. It really delivered quite well. I really felt that like right up until the end, I was kind of figuring like, I know where the story is going. I figured it out early on. I figured it out in the beta, and it's just sad and frustrating for me being very critical of this kind of stuff. But of course, story and the experience of how the story is told, the journey of the story, is what is far more important. Pretty much every movie that you've seen recently has, here's the good guy who was treated bad by the bad guy. And I'm using guy and good guy and bad guy very loosely and generally, whatever.
Yeah,
whether it's whatever character it is, if it's a pig, or if it's human, or if it's a person, or if it's a princess, or if it's a whatever, you start out going, oh no, I don't think I'm very good at what I'm doing. And then, oh, don't worry, you're actually good at what you're doing. Oh, I am? But now the bad guy has entered, and the bad guy says, no, you are not good at what you are doing.
So would you argue that the story...
I'm not done yet!
That the Outriders story is a little formulaic then?
I would not say that the journey is formulaic, because the journey was pretty interesting overall, and it did keep me guessing. Like, I kept on going, oh, are they going a different direction but in the end it turned out pretty good. I would say for delivery, I would easily give this a 9.5 out of 10. Like, really, the delivery was great. And again, in these very generic stories that are very uncomplicated, that is like, here's the hero that we need, not the hero we deserve, or vice versa. When you have those kinds of stories and there's really nowhere to go with the overall arcing narrative, you've written yourself into a very generic box. The delivery is what makes or breaks the game. And in this case, the delivery was solid, and the delivery was good. It felt good. It felt great. It felt engaging. It felt smooth. And again, for somebody who sees this stuff coming, and I mean, it's my, I see, both as a content creator, writer, and creative, mind in the past, I could see where they were going with this, and I knew where it was going. I figured out the storyline very early on, and that's what I do, right? So you, as somebody who just is playing games and enjoying games, I hope that your experience is completely different. And again, the journey of the story is very great. And again, I'm not trying to give spoilers, because the spoilers is like, the spoiler for, again, any Marvel movie, right, is, oh, the hero defeats the bad guy at the end of the film, or at the end of part 2 of the film.
At very least,
You know,
yeah.
at the very least. And it's one of those things. It's like, of course you know where it's going, right? But it's the journey that's interesting, and so the journey is mostly very interesting. I feel that, like, I definitely wouldn't have taken it the exact same way, but I feel that they've left themselves enough of an open door to add a ton of story content to this. I hope that that's what their plan is. I hope that they're going to continue feeding this with events and story and new stuff, and you just keep it alive.
Yeah.
and I think that they're doing they've done a pretty fine job of it, and I hope that they continue to do a fine job of it. But yeah, overall, look, like story, 9.5 for how they for the journey, and like maybe a 3 for like the quote unquote moral of the story.
3 for maybe originality, but
yeah, like originality, it's like I was rolling my eyes. I was like, oh,
it's tough. Yes, I mean, there are those who argue, oh, there's only 7 stories that exist, or some argue like, oh, there's only 3 stories that exist, things like that. But so you're right. I mean, it's the delivery. It's like your personal twist on it as a writer that gives each story its own, like each Marvel. Yeah.
And but it's the same for like I said, Marvel movies also, like the hero's journey, right? This centric story that so many games are based off of entirely. That is what I feel that they were emulating, and they did they did a pretty decent job of it. I can't complain at how they pulled it off. I can only go, I really wish that they would have pulled out a surprise there, right? Like, it's kind of, it's one of those days where it's like I find myself missing M. Night Shyamalan. I can never say his name.
Some of his just got weird.
Yeah, some of his got weird and silly and stupid, but some of the twists were really good. And I was hoping for a twist, like at the end, going, "Oh Lord, I did not see that coming. Oh my goodness!" But it, like,
source of pride for me, because this happens to me very rarely. But watching The Village, I knew the twist. I knew the twist from about a third of the way through the movie. Anyway, so what, if anything, does this have for microtransactions?
None so far. There was a pre-order Cerberus deal pack / thing, and I didn't like the way that it was structured originally. I still don't think it was worth it. I opened absolutely none of it, because it wasn't good. It wasn't helpful. It was all just bland, blasé stuff. So I very much doubt that, or I hope that they don't go down this road. Square Enix, which is the publisher, has been raking in the coals of burning hatred, justifiably so, because they made sort of this like half promise of like, oh yeah, we're going to bring the movie costumes to the game, and they're going to be unlockables. What they didn't tell you is that it was going to be unlockable with a significant purchase.
Oh, you're talking about
each costume.
You're talking about
this
Avengers
is Marvel's
now.
Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So Square Enix has been, they've been getting railroad justifiably. And I think they need to be railroad even harder for the rest of this stuff. Because, like, it was apparently it was them who insisted that they use their own servers for the it was all Sony, or it's not Sony, it was all Square Enix servers for the that were causing the issues during the weekend, that just didn't allow very many people to play. Still can't play with multiple people on from multiple different continents and have like any kind of a stable game. And again, I don't expect like perfect stuff, but I expect at least something better than what they're giving us, which is, I don't know if I can, like, which is unequivocally hot garbage. Is the connection that we had over the weekend. Now it's getting better. It remains to be seen if that will remain so. There were a lot of people who were really upset that this is essentially was like, most people did play this as a single player game. They didn't like team up with their friends to go through the whole like structure of the entire story. And a lot of those people were asking, why was this not a single player offline game? And you could just join the multiplayer. And I think that is a very good question. One of the things that they said was, oh, well, we can't, it's because you get legendaries while you're leveling up. You get like a handful of them in like very like predetermined drops. So, I think it would have been easy to identify cheaters when they showed up and they had like, 100 legendaries versus somebody who loaded in and they had 6.
But wait,
a grand total
people
of
were
6.
doing that anyway, despite it being online all the time. So I don't see I don't understand that explanation. Like, what do legendaries have to do with whether or not it has to be online constantly?
Well, see, if it's offline, and if it's completely offline, then modding the game and giving yourself every legendary in the game, or hacking the game and giving yourself every legendary in the game, is incredibly easy to do. Okay. When it's not online, when it's offline, or when it's required to be online, connected to a server all the time, and you're running an anti-cheat system, it is much, much more difficult to do that and get away with it. You might be able to do it for a short period of time, but you can't do that like permanently. And again, it's like this is the end game that we're talking about. So like getting into the end game, the group, teaming up to do group missions and stuff like that. We used the feature a lot. I spent most of my time playing with other people, and only like when there was nobody else on in our Discord community did I like try and power through certain things by myself. So yeah, the group play was good, but it was foreshadowed for their launch by basically being like somewhat absolutely unable to play. I think one of those days, I was wanting to stream on Saturday and Sunday, and on Saturday I got maybe like I sat at the computer trying to play the game for about 9 hours, and I played for about an hour and a half. And then on Sunday I tried again to play, and maybe do some streaming. And I attempted to do that for, again, several hours in the day, sat there for pretty much the whole day. And I got maybe 3 hours in, probably closer to 2. Just crash, disconnect, then crash, then signing in, can't sign in, crash to the desktop. And I think I've sent them probably about, 80 reports. It's been atrocious. And so as far as the multiplayer goes right now, it's a 1. It's just pathetic. And even when you do manage to get in with somebody, if you're not close, if you're not on the same continent, you're just fluttering across their screen. They're fluttering across their screen. You're firing, looks like you're standing in a wall, firing into space when you're actually on the other side of the arena, shooting at a monster. It is atrocious.
So from a technical perspective, it's
absolute
technically
garbage.
the connection problem. How does the multiplayer play though?
That is only the connectivity, and again, that isn't on people who people can fly. That is on the publisher. Square Enix, because Square Enix insisted that they use their own servers. They insisted that they use their own servers, and they refused to allow them to do anything else. And here's the funny part: I had somebody, I did some looking around, and Square Enix refused to free up their overflow servers for Marvel's Avengers to fit more Outriders onto.
Wow.
So there's an impressive surprise for you. Those 1,000 people that have been playing Marvel's Avengers? Well, they sure needed those extra servers. I mean, you don't know when 200,000 people are suddenly going to log on to Marvel's Avengers and play the crap out of that game. No, they got to keep those resources over there. Like, yeah, Square Enix can go shove it up it's just
Did Square Enix not think this game was going to do as well as it has done?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they had very little faith in them, and it's bad to the point where I would heavily encourage People Can Fly to look at their contract clause and try to get something out of this, because they lost a significant amount of goodwill, an enormous amount of goodwill, and we're not talking a little bit. We're talking an enormous amount. So
how
originally,
much-
when this game went out live the morning of, for the first couple of hours, overwhelmingly positive. But as soon as they hit like as soon as they hit that capacity on whatever server issues they had, that's when it went down to mostly positive to mixed, and it has now been stuck at mixed for the past few days. And that's probably going to stay that way for a while now. And that is really sad. And this is where it's a good system where they show different dates of the reviews. Previously was mixed. I think going forward in the future it'll be mostly positive. They have been quite adamant about changing stuff. They weren't as communicative as I would have liked them to be in this particular scenario, walking through what the problems are. Look, if you were stating general facts of so this happened, this is why we're crashing, this is why we can't get people in the door. We are attempting to do this, and we will hopefully have a fix for this by within 12 hours. If they were a little bit more direct on that, popping up notices, that kind of stuff, it would be good. There were a lot of people who were reviewing the game who had reviews sitting around less than an hour at play, and they were reviewing the game as poor, trashing it because they couldn't get into the servers. And again, that is
that's very unfortunate.
That is bad, and that is on Square Enix. It is not on them nearly as much. And again, it's one of these things where it's like you're only going to remember that it's People Can Fly. You're only going to remember it's their fault for this, not not Square Enix for being cheap POSs on the server infrastructure, refusing to free up their the additional server space that they had on other games, because again, who knows, sometime soon 200,000 people are going to log into Marvel's Avengers. We just know it's going to happen one of these days. It's been a joke. I mean, Marvel's Avengers, it peaked on Steam at like 2,500 players, and I think recently they've not crossed to the 2,000 mark in a while. So it's like it's pretty funny to see that.
They've got their maximum peak is 1/5 what Outriders is on Steam. So how do you think? By the way, I just want to read a couple of chat comments here. Dustin Pease says, "Well, hello there." Well, hello there. And Mad King also says, "Hello, everyone. Glad to have you folks with us in the live chat." Dustin Pease asks, "Is the PC console crossplay still turned off?" Did they turn that off?
Last I heard, it was.
Did they do that for stability reasons?
Important crossplay information about PC console disconnections. I suspect that there's. Yeah, it looks like there's still. I would say it's intermittent at best. I'm sure that at some point they'll get this up and running and working properly.
Keyskate says you can crossplay, but it is unstable. Okay.
Yeah, it's unstable as borscht right now.
Unstable as borscht. Okay. Keyskate, one of our Discord members who has been really into this game, recorded some great footage of us of all of the legendary weapons that were available in the demo. Speaking of the demo, let's talk about why this game has just been so insanely popular despite these technical problems. And first of all, how badly do you think this is going to hurt them in the long run? There's a lot of games that have poor launches, especially multiplayer games.
Mhm.
How badly do you think this will hurt them in the long run?
Well, I think they've only been climbing still. So if they're still climbing, then I would say we don't quite know yet. It was also a holiday weekend.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I woke up and there was just apparently a bunch of rabbits got into our yard and just pooped out these gigantic chocolate eggs everywhere. I don't know what to do with them all. There's just mountains and piles of them in the closet now. It's just like
I hope
15, 20 different kinds, and uh,
Yeah.
some of them are full of gummy bears, others are full of like M&Ms, and I'm like, what in the world is going on here?
You might want to just double check that they're chocolate before doing anything. But anyway, yeah, it was a holiday weekend. So that yeah, we're in the early stages here, and but yeah, again, despite all of that, the game has done very well. It's got very high sales numbers, very high concurrent player numbers. I imagine it's going to it beat out the Borderlands 2 peak concurrent players is pretty impressive, and it seems like there's just something here that people were really wanting. This filled a need. There was something that people in the gaming community were hungry for. They wanted something out of this genre. I mean, it's a looter shooter, very well done. It's like, as you said, story. I mean, you gave the story delivery a very, very high rating, and you said also that, would you say your overall rating for the game was like somewhere around a 7.5 or 8? Like it's
the overall rating. I don't think I can do an overall rating just until they fix the server problems permanently. I really don't think that they would deserve that. To be quite honest.
Well, fair enough. The technical things, I was thinking, subtracting the technical issues. Kisuke gives it a 6, which surprises me for the amount that you've played it. I would have thought you would have rated it higher. So Kisuke says solid, but with some cringe moments. Fair enough. So I guess it's just based on everything I've heard about the game. I would say the general consensus seems to be that it's good, but not great.
I mean, the gameplay is. I would say the gameplay right now is good. Again, I gave that high marks.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating trying to get a working build on some classes that doesn't fall into a very, very narrow meta style of gaming, which I have raved against multiple times. I heavily dislike when games force oh no, sir, you can't play that way. You'll have to play the way we tell you to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I really hate that.
Mm-hmm.
And not on a small level. I really despise that, generally speaking. Because it sucks. It sucks not being able to play a game that you enjoy, that you like, that you feel is good, and has some depth to it. So unfortunately, there's a lot of issues with that aspect of the game. But in other respects, it's. I mean, I'm having an absolute blast. I really lucked into being able to play a very particular style that I like, period, that I enjoy, period. And I really, really like the current play. Now, am I going to get bored of it? Probably, if I'm forced to continue to play that particular style for the next 40 hours of gameplay that I have. I'm already looking at trying out different builds just for the fun of it. But yeah, so I mean, again, that's somebody who's already put in 75 hours into it, minus the 30 hours of playing the game with air quotes, trying to get past that first boss monster, the sign into your account monster. Couldn't get past that for the first half of the time.
Yeah, that boss is seriously OP. But anyway, yeah. So I guess the consensus, like Kisuke says, I do not play it for the story. I play it for the mass murdering of everything in front of me. So the gameplay is fun. I've heard the the gameplay is really fun, and I would agree. It just like it seems like a decent looter shooter that is, really good, but not like it's not like it's 10 out of 10 game of the year. But it is.
It might be one of the highest grossing games of the year.
But that's just it. This is the point.
Awards.
This is the point I'm getting at. It's basically printing money right now for being an all right game.
Basically, yeah.
And so why is that? What is the reason for the success? And I think that, as I put in the title, there's an insanely simple reason. I think that the developers just gave players what they want. I mean, that almost seems not worth saying because it's so obvious, but they know, okay, people want a decent looter shooter. There's a big market for these games, but they don't want to be, they don't want to have things, time gated and locked behind microtransactions and have all this live service garbage. They just want a good game that they can buy and play with their friends or play solo if they want.
Yeah.
And it's really not easy to find that these days. They did it, and they're printing money right now. Like, I don't know what kind of longevity this game will have, but if they continue supporting it with new content, it could definitely have a good deal of longevity to it. If they add a class or two here or there, So anyway, that's my assessment of it. What do you think, Saib? Like, why is it just so? Why there's so many people playing it when it's, as we said, it's good but not great.
I would say that I think they listen and they are gamers.
You're talking about the devs now, yeah.
Yeah, the devs who made the game clearly enjoy games and clearly enjoy making fun games, and they've made a decently fun game here. I think that's really what it boils down to, and it's also kind of funny because this is one of these games that has both first person and third person. And
let's not go down this road again.
Really well for itself. I just wanted to point that out. That
you're crossing genres too. It's just whatever.
Turns out that when you do both options, you just get a naturally better and higher. Now, I mean, when I say first person, obviously it's like when you're doing iron sights. But again, I just wanted to point that out that the game is decent and popular. I do because I was just talking to another buddy just recently, and I was like, I was right, period. And he was like, yeah. So that's my perspective, is that they're gamers who listen and they make things for people to enjoy. And they really try to do that. They didn't try to go, oh, we're going to revolutionize this or that. Oh, we're gonna change the way that no, they just made a fun game. And turns out that just making a fun game is the highest priority of people who play games. Shocker. I know. I know. It's just so shocking that people who enjoy playing games want a game studio that's more interested in making games than trying to do the latest magic trick on stage that you learned at your buddy's house, or trying to like recreate something that is entirely like complex and doesn't need recreating because it's the bloody wheel, and the wheel doesn't need to be invented every single time. It's all that kind of stuff that just comes here. Here's a good game. Oh, cool, sweet. I will play a good game. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Plus, there's a lot of creativity to it. Like there's a lot of fun abilities. Just really cool. It's not just kind of a run of the mill shooter. It does have the special abilities and a lot of the things that make it really cool and fun and different from other from other games, but I agree. They just, their focus was on the fun, and that worked. And not like some other games that have come out recently where it's like, yes, it's a fun game, but guess what? We're going to nerf you and then bury a bunch of the stuff behind microtransactions and other garbage like that. It's not, a live service. It's not a live service. And how often do you have a multiplayer game these days in 2020 to 2021 that's not a live service?
Right.
So there you go. It's just, I think, a very simple formula for success. I felt the same way about Jedi Fallen Order. Respawn, in spite of EA, Respawn put out a fun single-player adventure action game that was just fun. Again, not game of the year, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was just a really solid game, did very well. And they did that, it didn't have any of the typical EA garbage in it. And so I see a similar thing happening here. I mean, and then of course, it's also very easy to compare it to, another one of Square Enix's very recent games, Marvel's Avengers, which is just doing terribly. Now, you would think Marvel, insanely popular brand that's very recognizable. The movies are very popular. Everyone knows about Marvel. Outriders, nobody knew what that was. Oh, that's the other thing. They put out a demo that was a real demo. And I think that more games need to do this.
Yeah. And I mean, I just wish that demo had fixed the server connection issues that we struggled with all weekend long. So, yeah.
I imagine there was some volume issues. But anyway, yeah. So that, I think, good job on People Can Fly with their, I hope this game is doing well, and I hope they just continue to support it as a fun game that people enjoy playing. Moon, I don't think you've played it yourself, but you've been in the server watching people.
Yeah.
While they've been streaming it. What are your thoughts?
Kind of like a overarching theme I can see here is that this has been a really good game for connecting with the community and just kind of group play, because with everybody being online and so disconnected at this point, it's nice to have a game that's trying to bring people back together, even if the server is going through some issues, but it's they're trying, and I appreciate that. And it's good to remember to keep things simple sometimes, because the more changes you make to it, the less you can predict how it's going to come out at the end. So what they've done here has it's a good direction. It's an attempt.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see how they take this further.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes simplicity is the key. Sometimes not trying to reinvent the wheel. It really works. And you can put your own creative spin on it without rewriting the genre from the ground up. All right, you are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast, and we love seeing those who are active in the live chat. Quieter show tonight. It is pretty late, and we're just coming off a holiday weekend. But if you are listening now or after the fact, we welcome you to join our Discord community. If you haven't already, find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S community members about all the things we love to talk about and stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Click the link below to join. Be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. So earlier I asked whether or not anybody out there listening cares about E3 right now, and honestly, people care so little that they haven't even answered the question. So I guess that one is. I guess that answers the question in a way. Anyway, there aren't a lot of details, but E3 2021 is of course going to be completely online. They're saying there's going to be, I don't know, evolutionary access. It says that we're embracing the future, showcasing the video game industry with an all-virtual event that will engage everyone everywhere. Yeah, I don't know what any of this means. It seems like all buzz talk. It's just going to be a series of live streams again, unless they've just really found some way to change it up. I think it's just going to kind of be your typical online gaming event, and I really
the only thing that makes me perk up my ears and look at this and go, "Oh, look, they're going to try something new," is that line, "You're in control." And which is like funny because for the longest time that is the most least thing that this thing was. There was no "you're in control." It was always "we're in control. We decide. You sit and watch like a good dog."
yeah.
And that's the way it's been for a very long time. They have worn out their usefulness. They have worn out their welcome to a lot of gamers, and a lot of people are just sick and tired of them and really just want to move on now. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this works, and we'll see if this works at all for them. Because I can't even say whether or not it's going to work for them. I'm hedging right now that this is the end for them. That they'll probably go bankrupt in a year or two, or close down and be like, "Oh no, we got destroyed by this." Because if they could close down soon enough, they could, they can maybe see about getting some like buyout or some whatever assistance from somebody and whatever. I'm being super cynical right now. I don't think that this has been largely a useless thing for a long time now. They didn't change. They didn't evolve. They treated the regular people who went there, the regular journalists that weren't connected to big corporates. They treated them like garbage, like absolute garbage, and they just didn't care. So, do I find it hard to care about them now?
Yeah. I have zero excitement about E3. It's kind of a thing we'll cover because we have to. There might be some interesting news that comes out of it, but
I think
really,
I think there'll be just better and better alternatives.
Well, the thing with this lockdown season and everything moving online is that there's less need for companies to go through these big organizations like E3. A company like Larian can reach out to us directly and do their own live stream and get lots and lots of attention from it, and it gets covered by the big news sites, and that's kind of how things are going. So what is E3 going to offer that really we couldn't get from the publishers or the game developers themselves just reaching out on their own and putting on their own show? Like Larian, I mean, their show had some technical issues, but their live streams have been very entertaining and very informative. And
I don't think you could do any of that on an E3 stage. So
have a cow turn into a dude? Yeah, no, you probably couldn't, or it would look really corny.
Hey, the dude turned into a cow, was eating grass, then turned himself back into a dude.
Did we see the part where he turned into a cow? Because
no, he was a cow when this started.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
When it started, he turned himself into a cow so that he could then turn himself from a cow into a human again.
Clearly, that's what happened. Yeah,
you missed a jump in the the inner workings behind the scene.
Of course. Here I am thinking it's just some special effect, but no, the dude actually turned himself into a cow. Well, that's good to know. There's some inside baseball from the Larian Studios. All right. So we're into the small fry news right now, but another name, personnel, talent, if you want to call it, another person is departing BioWare, Jonathan Warner, the director of Anthem. I mean, I feel this is only interesting because of how many people have been leaving BioWare lately. It's almost as background noise at this point. Oh, some person in some big position at BioWare is leaving. But anyway, you saw fit to mention this side. What are your comments on this?
This is the gradual demise of these big companies, and whether it's BioWare, whether it's Activision Blizzard, whether it's any of these other big companies that get too big for the britches, they lose the creative hearts and minds that are at the studio, and eventually they start failing one by one, and eventually, they just fold. And so this is another message that even the guy who was in charge of Anthem and who was given all that, love and praise by that crazy, ridiculous guy running EA at the time, couldn't do nothing with it, and is now essentially to the point where he sees no future at BioWare. He doesn't see himself stepping up to the plate at BioWare, or maybe he tried and he was rejected. Whatever the reason was, and again, we don't have to necessarily wish that it was him in control there, because after all, he was the head person behind Anthem. Being that was not an easy task either. It was like, hey, make this game that we totally just invented and showcased to everybody in the world that we said that we've been working on for 3 years, but turns out we were only working on it for zero time whatsoever. So you're going to need to get everything running on it in about 18 months. It's like, wow, that's just, wow. That's terrible.
Yeah.
on a deeply, deeply personal level of terribleness. Terribleness?
Terribleness.
Yeah.
Well, that works. That can be a word, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of BioWare, the list of changes that will be made to the Mass Effect Legendary Edition trilogy is out. We're not going to really go into this, but if anyone's interested, you can find a list now that, BioWare has basically put out everything they're changing from the original games in the Legendary Edition. And it mostly seems to be quality of life and technical stuff, and a few things to unify the 3 games. So there we go. That, and no more cameras focusing on butts. So, for whatever reason. And that's all we have. So, unless I don't know, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about aside from Outriders? It's been a slow news week.
Well,
really.
I did want to talk about the. I want to do this bit about why are films based off video games. Why are films based on video games so terrible? Because there's been some news, but you know what? Let's save that for the weekend, just in case this has been a super slow news week at this point.
So that'll give us something to talk about.
Yeah. So please hop on the Discord and please list your favorite movies that have been made from video games, or just all of the really terrible ones. I think I've seen them all. Mario, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy.
Well, there was Hitman.
Yeah, the Hitman one was atrocious.
There were two Hitman movies though.
Okay,
I know I've seen one and I haven't seen the other one.
Yeah, same.
I saw the Timothy Olyphant one and it was not good. Yeah.
Yeah, the Spock one was atrocious on just so many levels.
So that one was bad too. That was the one I haven't seen.
Oh yeah, no, Spock playing it was absolutely atrocious. So please let us know in the comments, especially in the comments here, also in the Discord. You can reach us there. Let us know your favorite or your most hated video game to big screen adaptations. Let us know why you dislike them, and then we'll use that to kind of dive into this a little bit deeper, because there's some very interesting things going on here that I think really can open up that window of looking at it. Oh, the Warcraft one. That's the other one that was.
I just pulled up a list on Wikipedia here. Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Wing Command. There was a Wing Commander movie.
Oh yeah, it was atrocious.
Wow,
it was atrocious.
So a couple of Tomb Raider movies.
It was somewhat decent in the sense of the fighter flight scenes were okay, but there was just a lot of meh to it.
Okay.
So,
all right. So, of course, a couple of Tomb Raider movies, Resident Evil movies, as you mentioned, House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Doom, Blood Rain, Silent Hill, Dead or Alive, Postal, Hitman, Far Cry. I totally forgot there was a Far Cry movie. Max Payne, more Street Fighter, more Resident Evil. Oh yeah, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Warcraft, as you said, Assassin's Creed. Bunch I've never.
Yeah, the Sands of Time one. Sands of Time one was terrible too.
And then more recently, they've been a little different. Like there's Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog. Both did very well, but those are more. They kind of changed up the format with those. It's like we're gonna bring an animated game character into the real world.
And this is the point that I want to discuss later on as to why.
Okay, so we won't go.
They are starting to improve, and then why other ones are continuing and will continue to be bad. So I'll cover all of that, and we'll kind of run with that down the road.
Apparently, there's another Mario film coming in 2022 from Universal Pictures. I wonder if that'll be any good. There was a couple of Mario TV shows I watched as a kid that were... Honestly, I can't remember if they were good. If I watched them now, I don't know if I would have the same opinion. The Super Mario Super Show or whatever it was. I used to watch those. Yeah. All right. I guess... let's see here. Yeah, Jasmine says Doom, and then Subhasine, Angry Birds 1 and 2.
Oh, Doom was so bad. Yeah. Oh, that was such a bad movie. Oh, I just got flashbacks.
Wasn't that The Rock?
I had to run out of the theater on that one. I wasn't the only one either. It was like
because it was a lot of it was first person, right?
Yes.
So you had to,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, we have this new way of doing filmography. It's amazing." It was like, "Oh no, it was so bad."
First-person movies, I don't think that's going to take off. Jasmine Greenaw, though, is wondering if we've seen Angry Birds 1 and 2. I haven't. I have not.
It was on my list of things to watch. I do need to watch that again. Yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah,
because I'm curious to see how they did with that, but yeah. So yeah, all right. This gives us good stuff. We'll dig into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
That way, instead of being like a 5-minute conversation, we could probably take it to like half an hour. And it should be a little bit more interesting with a bigger audience with better feedback. Because again, this is points and stuff that I don't think people want to miss out on. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Moon, you get last word if you like before we shut down the stream. Any final thoughts?
Come join the Discord. We're on there a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna start playing games soon. I'm really into these like strategy games. Like there's a new one we picked up where it's called End Zone, and I think. Description, it looks similar to Frostpunk, which is what I've been really into most recently. Really, really into. It's been really fun. I've been playing different scenarios. So I'm really curious to see where this one goes. Yeah.
That'll be so good. Yeah. So
All right.
So stay tuned for that stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, Discord server is a great place to connect, talk about video games, stream video games. We have people streaming in the live the voice rooms all the time. They have those that feature in there.
Oh yeah, also come join us if you want to play Don't Starve Together. Kisuke and I have been playing that and it's been super fun.
So if you want to play Don't Starve together and not starve together.
Yes.
You can join up there's been there's been some folks playing Outriders, that game that we've been talking about all day that I just forgot the name of for a second there, and various other things.
You're not alone there. I keep calling it everything but that.
But we have sort of really active sub-communities centered around Assassin's Creed, Valhalla, and a variety of other games. So yeah, check it out. And I guess that's about it. So that's all for us for tonight. So thank you everybody for listening and for supporting the show by listening either live or after the fact. Don't forget to slam that like button if you haven't already. We really appreciate that. Special thank you to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who help to make this content possible. You've seen their names appearing in gold at the top of the screen throughout the show today, and we really appreciate those folks because they help us. They help us out, especially during this time when numbers are down a little bit due to a variety of factors. But yes, we really appreciate all of you very much. And if you're listening after the fact to the audio version on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other platforms that this podcast goes out to, we appreciate your interactions there as well. Don't forget you can join the live show on Tuesday nights / Wednesdays if you're far to the east in Tomorrowland, and also on Saturdays where we do a live podcast there as well, right here on the Triple S Podcasts channel. But also don't forget to check out our main channel where you can find game guides, reviews, comedy, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash. On behalf of Sybe and Moontag, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you again very soon.